there about me that is absolutely not true. Somebody reported that I let Jack, he came to Tulsa and he spent the night with me. That never happened. I mean, absolutely. I don't even know where that story came from. But there's just a lot of baloney out there, and it's time to kind of set the record straight. I don't know whether I will, but at least I'm telling my side of what. And I don't lie, because if I tell a lie, man, I got this neon sign that goes liar, liar, liar. I'm pretty much a realist, and I just kind of tell it like it is, good, bad, or indifferent.
Doing a documentary about your life.
I love being able to. The best part is that my kids have a document that they can treasure and keep, and of their mother talking about. Because I tell them, I tell them a lot of stories, and they, oh, Mother, you need to. So I'm also writing a book.
Good.
And so I got the documentary. I'm hoping the book's going to be ready by November. And making the film was a lot of fun. I mean, it was, I just kind of sat there like I'm doing now and blabber. And then the Ruby review card.
I did. So I understand you guys didn't have anything going on together, but was he sweet on you? Did he have any affection for you?
His partner, Ralph Paul, was my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy, I guess you'd call him a sugar daddy.
Sure.
I was his companion. He was quite a bit older than me. And he would take me to New York every year for Rosh Hashanah, and and we'd go to the country with his family, and he and I dated the whole time. We continued to date off and on even after all this happened. The day Jack shot Oswald, I saw him do it on TV when he did it.
Right.
And I called Ralph right away. He owned a barbecue restaurant in Arlington, so I called him right away to tell him that I was pretty sure Jack had just shot Oswald. And so he turned TV on, and he said, well, we need to go get him a lawyer. So I drove over to Arlington, and he and I went downtown, across from the jail to a lawyer's office, somebody he knew, but we didn't go in the jail or anywhere, there.
How long did the club last after?
Not long, a couple months.
Yeah, and then it changed.
They lost
titles and ownership.
Yeah, they lost their liquor license. And you know what they did with it after that? They made a police jail.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole weird turn of events in this story. It's weird. Who'd have thought that I'd ever be in the bowels of history and archives?
You hadn't talked about this in over 50 years, so how did it feel reminiscing all over again? The story.
Well, it's great. It's great. I just didn't like people asking me dumbass questions, And everybody's got a conspiracy theory, I don't know whether Oswald shot John Kennedy or not. I don't know anything about that. So I wouldn't sit here and say, yes, he did it. Although the police department were parading him on TV saying he did it, I don't know whether he did it or not. All I know is about Jack and what kind of person he was. But everybody's got thinks Jack was in on it. And I know why he did it. I don't know whether anybody would believe me or not, but I know why he did it. My deal with them was, you got to stick to what I say. I don't want you, you can embellish a little bit here or there, but I don't want it. I want it to be my story the way I know it and the way I tell it. And I think they did a fantastic job. Our premiere was great.
Yeah.
I sat in the back. I like to sit in the back so I can see the audience reactions and while they were showing it. We had a full house. People were laughing, and the reaction of the audience was wonderful. I didn't really get to see the film too good. People were coming up saying, hi, and I'm like, hi. So I didn't really get to focus on the film, but it went real well, and I thought they did a spectacular job.
Well, since it's only an hour, how is it going to be released? In the theaters, in film festivals, on cable?
All those things, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well,
We have not finished any deals yet, but
they have had really high hopes,
Yeah.
and I hope for their sake, not particularly for mine, that they have good results with it.
and whatever happens, around the time of the anniversary, it'll be available on iTunes and Netflix and
Yeah.
DVD. But Tammy or Nancy's doing a couple of events in later November. What is the group called?
JFK Lancer.
JFK Lancer, which
That's
is the
going to be
biggest
fun
group.
because that is all people with conspiracy
Conspiracy theories.
theories.
Oh, wow.
She's their main speaker, so we're going to show part of it there, and that's I think
She'll
that's
be
actually
exhausted when
the
she's
weekend
done.
of the assassination, or maybe
Yeah, it starts, I think, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
And how many times are you speaking? Just
Well,
once.
We thought there were enough old men telling the story of what happened in '63. Every documentary you see, or most of them, are these guys you've seen 100 times before telling you what happened. And we thought, who would be better than somebody that could work her boobs individually?
Yes.
How many guys can do that?
That's true. Well, and it's always hard when you do something like, the assassination and I know, it's every time, right? And JFK assassination, and then you also, you have Nancy, and she's funny, and it's, it's a different perspective. I don't think anybody's ever done like a funny, and not that it's a funny JFK documentary, but there is humor in there, and there's a lot, like, you laugh, you cry, and there's a lot to it.
But did you go into this project thinking one thing and it turned out something totally not what you expected?
Absolutely.
What was the process for you like?
Well, it was very interesting. I mean, we did this for a while.
Yeah,
And
about 3 years. we worked
it
on
was, you meet Nancy and she starts telling a few stories and you think, oh, this is kind of a fun Mad Men sort of world in Dallas and a little the Boardwalk Empire sort of thing going on. And then she's like, no, there weren't really that many gangsters. And then suddenly she starts telling stories about all these gangsters and you're like, no, there weren't a lot of gangsters hanging out with you. So sometimes she would downplay.
They weren't the mob.
They weren't the mob. They were and there's
They
a
were
difference.
local gamblers and criminals. They were called back then local police characters.
Yeah.
Character.
But I don't think I expected to like Jack Ruby. And by the end of it, after hanging out with Nancy, and we there was a lot of things that really could make some great extras. We went back to so many different locations around Dallas, and she was able to literally walk out onto Jacksboro Highway in an empty parking lot and just describe this really cool building as like the Skyliner Ballroom in Fort Worth. And it was just she just remembered everything, and so. I don't know, I didn't expect to
we
like
stopped
it.
at the Rocket Club.
The Rocket Club.
There.
Yeah, and it's still the same sign that's out there. And there's so much that we did, and so much went into this. And some things are, little tiny details that maybe we only talked about and never really made. No one else really knows why they're in there. But it was
You
just
said it's
interesting.
only an hour, but I guarantee you they probably got 3 or 4 hours on
We could have. We could have kept going, and I mean, even up until the last day we showed her the cut, she tells us more information about how she lit her husband's clothes on fire in the front porch, and you're thinking that would have been a great scene,
Because I came from nothing. I was a kid born without a daddy. And when I was a teenager, I had problems dealing with self-esteem. But then all of a sudden, I got a lot of self-esteem. And never in a million years would I have thought that all these things would have happened to me. I was just a kid wishing, going to the movies to see Betty Grable, wanting to be Betty Grable, and
yeah, it's really exciting. I think to be the opening night party, to be Tammi True, you get a little comedy in there. It's the year, the historical year.
it was always funny. I was not just a stripper. I was an entertainer.
And she still
And
is.
I talked to the audience like, you'll fall into a half split and go, think that's stretching a good thing too far. Or bend over with my butt to them and spraddle out and look and say, can you see the whole show? So I talked to them. So I was a little bit of a comedian. And I could dance. I was a good dancer.
It's gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be a pretty big crowd too, so it's another big crowd for you.
So I dress up real
And we're
fancy.
asking everybody to dress up in 1960s.
Oh, great. I didn't know that yet.
Costume?
Yes.
Ooh, I get
and
to show my
We're
tits.
gonna do a contest and have you be
The judge.
The judge for.
And it is, I think that's the best part. It's really like downtown, I love downtown, don't get me wrong, but it's so concrete now. And the idea that there was once a time when it was like New York and neon and lights, and it was really great. I think that's so fun to show people, especially in my generation, I had zero clue that that's what downtown Dallas looked like. And
Yeah,
Nancy's
we
like,
got all
really?
these generations that never saw a real burlesque show.
Yeah.
They used to the titty bars. And they just come out kind of like, you know, and do the lap dances and all that. And I'm like,